It's time to breathe again on this latest Breath of Fresh Air webcast, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So, along with Patrick, I'm Charles, and lots of show to cover, Patrick. So, let's get right to it. We'll start with a quick rundown of the NBA playoffs. And here's what we got. So, starting in the Eastern Conference, so you have the Miami Heat and Atlanta Hawks playing. They're actually playing right now. The Hawks are up. It looks like 61-50 or 63-56 in the third quarter.
Heat, the Heat are up.
Oh, did I say? Oh, okay, my bad. I didn't mean to say that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would have loved for you to have been right, but
my bad. Yeah, I read that wrong.
it's
Thanks, Patrick. The Heat are up. The Heat are up 63-56, and they're up 1-0 in the series. Then you have the 4-5 matchup between Philly and Toronto. Philly's up 2-0. Game 3 is Wednesday night in Toronto. Then you have the Bucks and the Bulls. They'll be playing game 2 tomorrow night in Milwaukee. The Bucks are up 1-0 in that series. And then the Nets and Celtics. The Celtics won a thrilling game 1 with Jason Tatum's layup. So they're up 1-0, and game 2 of that series is also tomorrow night in Boston. More on that one in a minute. But before that, let's get to the West. And then you have the Phoenix Suns. They're up 1-0. They play game 2 later on tonight in Phoenix against the New Orleans Pelicans. And the 4-5 matchup is Dallas and Utah. They actually split the first 2 games in Dallas. Game 3 Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night in Salt Lake City. The 3-6 matchup, the Warriors up 2-0 on the Nuggets. Game 3 of that one also Thursday night when the scene shifts to Denver. And the 2-7 matchup, you have the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are up 1-0 in that series. They just started game 2 in Memphis with Minnesota up 12-11. So there's your quick rundown of the playoffs. Thanks for helping me out with that first matchup there, Patrick. Thinking Atlanta was winning. My bad. But yeah, Miami is still winning right now, and they're up 1-0. Now, going back to that Nets Celtics one. So this one was pretty funny because if you watch game 1, we know the history with Kyrie Irving and his time in Boston. It actually didn't go good at all while he was there in Boston. First year he got injured, and the Celtics still almost made it to the NBA Finals. They were a game away before going down to the Cleveland Cavaliers that year with LeBron James. And then 2018, season ended ugly. Lots of tension, reported tension, I'll say, between Kyrie and the other guys that was on there, namely Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. At the time, Terry Rozier, who were the main 3 guys that led Boston to the Eastern Conference Finals the year before. And that season ended badly. And then on top of that, Kyrie had said that he was going to go or re-sign with Boston. Of course, he didn't. He's now a member of the Brooklyn Nets. Well, of course, every time Kyrie returns to Boston with the Nets, you know the fans in Boston are not going to let it go. They are going to let him have it. And in Sunday's game, hey, Kyrie Irving was getting right back at him, giving them the finger, flicking them off, trying to do I'm going to stick my hands behind the head, but I'm giving you some double birds in the back. I mean, all this is going on. So Patrick, my question to you is, I mean, is this good? Because me personally, I think this is healthy. I think it's cool. Kyrie Irving going back at the fans going back at Kyrie. There's no lines being crossed. To me, I mean, you got some fingers being lobbed. You got people being called P's and B's and all that. But to me, hey, that's going to happen. As long as there's nothing that's demeaning in terms of racial or anything like that. Like, to me, all right, cool. Or you're coming after someone's family. Right there, okay. Now maybe you're crossing the line there. But hey, some good trash talk and you're giving the finger back. I don't see nothing wrong with that. What say you?
Well, first of all, what are P's and B's?
I'm not saying these words, Patrick. I'm not doing it.
I figured I'd ask just to see where you'd go with it. I know.
No. Hey, look, okay.
Maybe our fans do too. Anyway. I don't have a problem with it. I mean,
okay, I'll put it this way. The B word rhymes with pitch. and the other P word, I don't know. I don't know which one that would be. But look, fussy. There we go. It rhymes with fussy. Yeah. All right, sorry.
So, well, personally, I don't have a problem with it, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. Is Kyrie Irving probably going to get fined for it? Probably.
And he did.
He did. What was the fine?
Yeah. $50,000.
Even then, man. Look, that to me is too extensive. Now, if you flop, okay, let's hit them for 100,000. Cool, 100,000 for flopping. You know I don't like flopping anyway. But my thing is like, look, it's like this. There's nothing wrong with heated rivalries, and Kyrie Irving is just a product of that, especially coming out of Boston and the whole story that he's had there. Let him go at it. As long as there's nobody throwing things at him, as long as he's not trying to jump into the stands and come from California and hit somebody, I don't have a problem with it. Let him flip off somebody. Maybe he probably shouldn't have done that. Maybe he should have just kind of, stood at the sidelines and said something and then ran off. I mean, to me, I don't really think that it was that bad, even with a flip off. But I mean, I get where the league is coming from. I mean, you got kids watching this, and if you got kids watching this, then they're probably going to be like, "Ooh, well, Kyrie Irving flipped everybody off. I'm going to be out here at a tournament, and let's not do that." You know what I mean? I would have probably just done some trash talk, went with it like that. I mean, maybe now that I'm thinking about it, maybe a fine probably wouldn't have been bad. I think 50,000 was probably a bit extensive. I'd have probably hit him for about 25. Because he does have to realize that kids are watching kids are watching this. These kids that are starting to get into basketball, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. These kids are, whether you want them to be or not, they're looking up to this guy. And he has to know what that place is. And I'm not even saying it for the NBA. I'm saying it, do your trash talk, but keep in mind, kids are watching you. Kids are looking up to you, and try to handle it as professional as possible. But do your trash talk. I'm cool with that. I mean, I love my kids trash talking. I love it. I don't have a problem with it. Just be respectful when you do it.
Here's something also. Very good point about the role model angle there, because kids are watching and people are, you're right, whether the players want it or not, they are being looked up to. Yep. The NBA with the fining, to me, is a little bit consistent, because you had Miles Bridges, the player for the Charlotte Hornets, in a game in Atlanta, as a matter of fact, the play-in game. He got ejected and threw his mouthpiece at somebody when he was walking off the court. I guess a fan said something he did not like. He threw the mouthpiece, missed the dude, hit a girl with this mouthpiece. That's, first of all, that's gross.
Second, first of all, yeah, that's gross, and there's your $50,000 fine.
Okay, and so that's the thing, Patrick. So he did get a $50,000 fine. What he did was way worse than what Kyrie Irving did in flicking people off, but it's the same amount fines.
Especially in this COVID-driven era. Come on. Come on.
Bridges got to get it. If you're giving Kyrie a $50,000 fine, then Bridges at least has to be double that, if you ask me. He threw his mouthpiece at somebody and missed and hit a girl.
Yep. And that's where it draws the line. I mean, yes, it's just a mouthpiece, but tomorrow it's a basketball. You know what I mean? And if anybody knows what it's like to get hit in the face with a basketball, It hurts.
Especially
right there on the nose, man. Boom.
Hold
So
on, let's see. Let's see what we got here. So Jonathan is back in. We have True Grit in OKC. That is so funny. You know what? Again, Jonathan, you have two quarterbacks that you have taken from Texas and have made them spoiled brats. You know I'm talking about Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. But whatever. Regardless, we'll go on. I know you're gonna hit me up with some more comments, but but it's good to see you in, Jonathan, for the whole thing. He said he. Oh no! So okay. So I didn't miss that part. So he got a dislocated finger. There you go, going out there doing it, huh? Yep. Hey, I'm sure you got the ice packs ready too. Are you sitting here watching the webcast? But man, yeah. Look, Patrick. I'm with you. I don't have a problem with the trash talk between each other. Like you said, as long as there ain't no lines being crossed, as long as players aren't going into the stands trying to go off on the fans, or same thing, fans throwing stuff. Like last year, because this was a big thing last year, where you have fans just getting just outrageous with it. Trey Young getting spat on in New
yeah.
York.
Players were just out of hand last year, dude, and I really do think I think the league came down on them. And, you might not have heard it, you might not have seen it, but I think the league came down on them and was like, look, y'all can't do this.
Right? No, they did. Yeah, I saw it. Absolutely.
So
And that's the thing, hey, let's go enjoy the game as fans. Players go play the game. And there's going to be some trash talk that's going on in between. Nothing wrong with some good banter back and forth. Just know those lines, know those boundaries, know those barriers, and it'll be good. The only thing I am with you, I guess, with the fingers because of the kids watching. And I said at the beginning, hey, I did have a problem with the fingers, but you know what, Patrick? You have me coming over to your side on the fingers because of the kids. So you got me.
I'm sitting here, my son, he never got into anything like that. Never did. And then all of a sudden now he makes this basketball travel team, and now it's like, yeah, Dad, let's put together the tournament bracket and who's in the playoffs this year. And I'm like, okay, well, cool. I never thought about it either. But then I saw that and I was like, luckily my son walked away at that time and didn't see it. But now, but it hit me, and I'm sitting here going, crap. I know that's going to be on the webcast tomorrow, and how am I going to react to that? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it is one of those things where, when I'm sitting here watching it from a parent standpoint, you just tend to see it at those minor different angles, and I mean, look, if my kid was 21 years old, I'd probably be sitting in your seat right now saying, what's the problem? You know what I mean? But no, he's 14. I still have to watch out for that. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, look, Kyrie Irving, keep your finger down and do you. Just that's all I got. I mean, look, there's many things that you are, that me and Charles has disagreed with you on the court and off the court, but this one right here, keep the middle finger down and just do your trash talk. I ain't got no problem with that.
Yeah, Jonathan's comment, he said, Iceman still got some bullets in the chamber. My name ain't LeBron. Love it. Maybe since LeBron does have all this off time, apparently he's all over Twitter, of course, whatever. Well, no, never mind. He doesn't need to do that either. I was going to say maybe he could go ahead and tell the people to trash Space Jam 2 since that was a trash movie. But
Did you
never
watch it?
I caught a little bit of it. But I don't know, man. It never hit me to want to watch the movie. Like I did love Space Jam 1 when Michael Jordan was in it. It never hit me to want to watch Space Jam 2. When I heard that it was being made, I said, nah, I don't know if I want to watch that. Now, maybe part of that was because LeBron was in it, and I just felt like he was going to pretty much trash the movie. And from what everybody said, he did trash the movie. Like I've heard people say they took their kids to go see Space Jam 2, and their kids left crying and throwing up because it was so bad.
I didn't even watch it.
Kids are like, Dad, why did you drag us in here to watch this movie? He's all, I don't know. I thought it'd be good. I'm sorry. He just has to apologize. I'm sorry.
I told my kids, he goes, Dad, are we gonna watch Space Jam 2? You can watch Space Jam 2 when it's free.
Yeah.
So when it came out, it was free, and my youngest comes in there and he goes, it was horrible. And he turned around.
Watch it when it comes on network television.
He goes, it was.
Hey, look, and Jonathan's saying, started on that clown. Woo me. All right. Well, look, we won't.
We won't get you started on that clown.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, let's not even talk about him because, hey, it's the playoffs, and for a change, he's irrelevant.
Yeah, he's at home.
And I'm good with that.
He's at home, and the players and the teams that are at home, they don't really deserve the airtime, to be honest. It's about the players and the teams that are there. So on that note, let's move on to our next topic, Patrick. So this is business. We're going to talk about business in the NFL. Yes. So there's going to be a lot of business in this webcast. So starting with this topic. So what you have here, the reason why I want to talk about the business in the NFL is because you've seen it, Patrick. And Jonathan, hey, we know you're going to chime in, so feel free to chime in there as well. The NFL is making money. I mean, it's even worse than hand over fist. It's monopoly money all over the place. It's like a $16, $17 billion industry annually. Mm-hmm. And the money is just flowing, and you're seeing these contracts that are coming out. Lately, it's been the wide receivers. Devontae Adams getting traded from the Green Bay Packers to the Oakland Raiders. Wow. Las Vegas Raiders. Getting traded and then getting like a 5-year, $143 million deal. Tyreek Hill gets traded. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill, he gets traded from the Kansas City Chiefs to the Miami Dolphins. He signs a 4-year, $120 million extension, $30 million a year for these receivers. And then the Deshaun Watson contract that was signed, $230 million guaranteed. He's getting this guaranteed. And that never happened in the NFL to that level, ever. Like Kirk Cousins got a fully guaranteed deal when he went to Minnesota, but $230 million guaranteed, 5 years. And then, and so now these quarterbacks, you see a deal like that. It's crazy.
Not only is he raping women, he's raping the organizations now. Dang.
Yes, stop, Patrick. Allegedly.
He allegedly raped those women. He is really raping those organizations, though. That's for
real. Allegedly, Patrick. He does have 20.
Funny. That's funny. Hey, you know what? But you know what? Good for all of them to get their money. You know what I mean? If teams are willing to pay it, take it.
So my question, or maybe it's not so much a question as much as what if you're a team? Because now we go to Kyler Murray, your favorite dude, Jonathan. We go to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has played for 3 seasons, and now he's taking his war. And then this is another thing. A lot of people, they're taking their battles on social media. They're scrubbing their social medias of the team that they were playing for. Hey, we got a guy for my team, the San Francisco 49ers, Deebo Samuel. He kind of did the same thing. He's seeing these contracts that Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams got. He wants a new deal coming up here soon. These other quarterbacks, they want K1, not so much. But you got Kyler Murray. He's been in the league for 3 years, and he is reported to have said he's not going to play for the Cardinals, not going to come into any of the camps or anything like that unless he has a new deal in place. So I guess the question is, if you're a team, you're looking at all this money that's being made. You draft these guys, you see them come up. Is it time to just say to yourself, we basically have this quarterback, especially if he didn't deserve that Heisman that year. That should have went to Tua. But if he has, are you to say you basically have 3 years, especially if this quarterback, and I mean you could name the position really at this point, but if you're a quarterback, is it just time to say I basically have 3 years with this dude before they start saying, I want this money, I want this contract done, and I want all this guaranteed money? How do teams go about this now? What do you think?
Well, personally, I mean, this is how I've felt about it for quite some time. And in today's society, in today's world, what is meant by a contract? Who abides to a contract anyway? You know what I'm saying? So what's the point? Why don't we just hire these people? Why don't they just hire them and tell them that they can make a yearly pay and then anything is negotiable after that? You know what I'm saying? What's the point in the contract when you can break your contract at any point?
Yeah, I mean, I do think there is a little bit of a change there in terms of how contracts are written, because you have outs, you have options, you have all this other stuff there. And then, okay, let me answer Jonathan's question. So Jonathan, again, I felt like Tua should have won the Heisman that year. He was the front runner all year. Then Kyler had a hot performance in the Big 12 championship game, and all of a sudden, yeah, he's supposed to be the winner. It's okay. Tua and Alabama whooped y'all in the playoffs. So that all got proven out. And then, no, you're right, Jonathan. No, we're not faulting him for wanting a long-term deal.
No,
get your money.
Not.
No, get paid. But when you go get paid, understand. Unlike some of these other sports, the NFL, they do have a cap. Now it seems like some of these teams, such as the Rams, they seem to have doesn't seem like they have a cap. But in theory, you do. Yeah, in theory, you're supposed to have a cap. So if you're gonna go make all that money, then don't be mad and run and pout. No, you know what, Jonathan? No, we have never made the playoffs, but we do have a title in recent history. Where's y'all title hat?
They have a title too, Charles.
Yeah.
They the one that got beat by Georgia.
Yeah.
We're loud, we're proud, Jonathan. 1-0.
So yeah, but the thing is, when you go and you get when you get the team, we haven't made the playoff, Jonathan. I know, Jonathan. It's okay. It's all right. You got to take the little.
You have a team that's won the national championship. Oh, all right. I'll just keep it up. Is that a high five?
Yeah, he's coming at me, Patrick. He knows. I know where he's going with it. I get it. Okay, you still don't have no titles to show for it. Whatever. So basically, you're like fourth loser in the playoffs. Good job, Jonathan. You can raise your hand for that one.
So I will say this: nobody's ever faulting that man for getting his money. Yeah. Go and get it, dude. If teams are willing to pay it, take it. There's no problem with that. I think from my point of view, I wouldn't pay that, but I don't think anybody is worth that. Nobody.
But don't cry. My point is, Patrick, don't cry. Don't cry when the team isn't quite up to par like you think it should be, because they can't build, because you're making all the money. So don't go and hide and cry and, oh man, offensive line ain't blocking for me. We don't got the running backs. Well, hey, if you're making all that money, aren't you supposed to elevate? You're supposed to elevate your team. So that's what you want. So, hey, that's all I'm saying.
And if you're making all that money, understand, at a certain point, you have to understand that there is and I'm going to throw these up, salary cap.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams, even when they go over the salary cap, I mean, they get hit for millions and millions of dollars over the salary cap every week. So, I mean, that's the reason why I would say, like, if it was me, I don't understand what the point in the contract is anyway. I mean, if somebody come up to me and said, I don't want to play anymore, I'd be like, oh, you're in a contract. No, if you don't want to play anymore, roll, bro. But understand, I don't have a contract with you. That means I'm not going to pay you. You can roll. I can put my money somewhere else. But if you want to play, let's talk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, every job in the entire world is done just like that. Let's talk.
Oh, so Patrick, I'll push back here because in baseball, those contracts are fully guaranteed no matter what. Like, and so that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. There's no salary cap, so that's the thing. Like, you get that money, and once you sign that contract, you are signed, and you're getting it, no matter who you get traded for, no matter what. So I think the thing with the contracts is it provides some sort of security. It provides a long-term security, especially if you could get one of these contracts that are anywhere between 5 and 10 years. You get one of those bad boys, and then you get whatever guaranteed money, which I guess is the thing in the NFL. You get the guaranteed money, then you're getting that no matter what. And I think that's what these players are all about. So your statement about the contracts, I think you're right. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but in sports, the guaranteed money, the part that is no questions asked, no matter what happens, you are getting this money regardless. I think that's that long-term security that they're gonna ask for, and that's what comes in the form of whatever contract. And then, of course, in baseball, hey, you're Mike Trout. Hey man, sign me for $400-something million.
Just sign this paper because it's all in your favor anyway. So
yeah.
And he's like, no problem. Because we're going to give you $960 zillion over the next 30 years to stay with us. How much is that per game? Oh, that's $40 million per game. I got it. No problem.
And when you
I agree with Jonathan, those $100 million contracts are just absolutely insane. That is crazy to make that much money a year.
But if you're a quarterback, if you're a quarterback and you see Deshaun Watson, then think about this with Deshaun Watson. This is a guy, like you pointed out, all this litigation going on, 22 civil lawsuits, did not play last year, and he gets $230 million guaranteed. If you're Joe Burrow, if you're Lamar Jackson, if you are Justin Herbert, any of these other quarterbacks, and I guess Kyler Murray is in this camp too. If you're looking at this, seeing this guy, Deshaun Watson, and look, we think, I know you and I agree, when Deshaun Watson's on the field, he's been good. He can put up some stats. Really hasn't entered team success, but people will say he's a top QB. Yeah, people will say he's a top QB in the league. But when you see him get $230 million guaranteed, those other quarterbacks are gonna sit there and think to myself, wait a minute. So this dude sat out for a year, but he's rolling into that
with his mom because he still lives at home. Joe Burrow is going, well, hold on.
So
the Bengals to a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Practically on my first year, and
Lamar Jackson has been an MVP. But you know what? He's chilling. You know, he knows he's coming up due for a deal, but he's chilling. He's not worried about it. He's going to go out there and do his thing. The question that Jonathan asked, Patrick. So Patrick Mahomes was $500 million. It was 500
over like 8 years.
Yeah, it was 5. It was a 10-year deal. It was a 10-year deal. I forget how much was guaranteed.
But he also had incentives to go with his too, like win the Super Bowl and you get another cool $2 million or something crazy like that.
And plus, he restructured his deal too. So I like to kind of make it more cap friendly. I think
Yeah.
he put in, I think he gave back something. I want to say it was around $20 million just to kind of help build the team, get some more
Yep.
salary cap room and all that
But
other stuff.
okay, now that you're making this point,
Mm-hmm.
you can look at you can look at Deshaun Watson, and he's making this $230 million. See, to me, I'm looking at this going, all right, you're not interested in a Super Bowl. But then I watch Patrick Mahomes restructure his deal and make it, like you said, more cap friendly. Then you watch what Matt Ryan did last year, which it still didn't amount to anything. But then you watch what Tom Brady does, and then you look at what Joe Burrows is doing. I mean, these guys are giving up what they could be making to restructure a team to win a Super Bowl, not to restructure their contract in hopes that they make more money. There's a difference out of those players, and then there's a difference out of these guys that think that they are these guys that are making 230 to 240 million, 250 million dollars. How do you put together a team when 30%, 30 to 40% of your entire salary cap is going to a quarterback?
And Jonathan, said, with Patrick Mahomes, he's only won one Super Bowl. Dude, I could totally, on Patrick's point, I could totally justify giving Patrick Mahomes 230 million guaranteed, way over Deshaun Watson. I mean, I know it is. I get it. Look, all these contracts are insane, absolutely insane. But if you're gonna ask me who I would rather give that money to, it's Patrick Mahomes all day, every day. I mean, dude's been an MVP in the league. He was the Super Bowl MVP the year that the Chiefs did win the Super Bowl. And every year he started for the Chiefs, they've at least made it to the championship game. At least.
and you can't name another quarterback that is throwing their body out on the line like he is. He is out to win every single game. And there's only one other player that can do that. He doesn't put his body out on the line like Patrick Mahomes is, because he's a much older quarterback and he has a little bit more experience on doing things like that. But there's only two quarterbacks that I would even consider 230 to 240 million. Let's just put it this way. There's only two quarterbacks I would consider over 200 million, period. And that's Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, because these other dudes, I mean, so you look at, I mean, we talked about it with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has multiple MVPs. He has the one Super Bowl title. It's come up short lately, though. I mean, the Packers have had the best record in the conference the last couple of years. And
number one offense, number one defense, and can't get out of the first round.
Yeah, first round. So, I mean, it's a very interesting discussion when it comes to these deals and how teams are going to handle this. It really, and we're going to talk about it later, but it really makes the draft just that much more important, because with the draft, you can continue to stockpile talent. Obviously, you're going to have to pay some of that talent, but now the decisions to who you pay is going to be it's a lot more prevalent now with the way the money is flowing and being thrown out. The quarterbacks are seeing it. Everybody is paying attention to this, and they're saying, "Oh my God, man, I could potentially make 230 million guaranteed if I'm a quarterback. Wow, let's see if we can get there." And that's the thing. And Deshaun Watson, look, good on him and his agent. They were able to maximize their no trade clause in his contract that he had signed with the Texans, and kind of dictate the terms of where he wanted to go. But man, one more thing though, Patrick, these contracts are not as much. I know I've said this before, but they're not as much about what you've done in the past as they are about what they think you're going to do in the future. If Deshaun Watson is making that much money, there better be at least 2 Super Bowls that the Browns win in the past or coming up.
Well,
sort it out there.
I will say this,
but
I will say this about business, because the Braves spent all that money with bringing in their whole new lineup with all that. You heard about the day that they did $151 burgers at the stadium. I'd have been like, yeah, no. Not gonna happen. I don't know if you
No.
heard about that, but they did it, man, and they sold from what I heard, they sold a crap ton of it. I think they did it like early April.
Yeah,
And
it was the home opener for the
yeah,
Braves,
that's what it was.
celebrating the World Series they won last year. And another thing that came with that burger was, I guess, a replica of their World Series ring. So
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's still no.
no, dude, I still feel like I'm paying 150 for a burger.
Now, don't get me wrong; those rings were nice. I will say that they were nice, man. But yeah, no. I'm good. Give me that hot dog over there.
There you go. Yeah, go
I'm good
ahead.
with
And
that.
I'll throw ketchup on it too. Uh, so,
Give me a
Patrick,
hot dog and a beer. I'm good. I don't need that.
let's
They sold a
talk
bunch.
about.
They sold a bunch of them though. Holy
They
cow! They sold
did. This will be something that we'll come back to, man. It's always good to talk about the business of sports. Real quick. Okay, so before we get to the next topic, so Jonathan said the Kevin Garnett deal. I remember that deal. Kevin Garnett, when he came out of high school, well, he was one of the first people to come out of high school for that I remember. And his deal was something crazy at that time. It was 126 million over 6 years. I think was what he was getting. And at that time, it was crazy because you had people fact check me on that one.
I got you.
But I want to say it was 126 million over 6 years, 21 million per year. Yes, Michael Jordan at his prime. You had Shaq in the league. Now Shaq got a pretty nice deal at the time when he signed with the Lakers. Because remember, of course, he was with Orlando and then he became a free agent, went to LA, and that deal was like 122 million, I think. But yeah, Kevin Garnett got a pretty ridiculous deal, within his first year or two, if I remember right. And I think that deal was 126 million over 6 years. But while you're looking at Patrick,
So
go ahead.
he made 100 in 1997. Made 126 million over 6 years, but it was an extension of from his 100 million 5 year, which he actually got again in 2004, which was another 100 million for 5 years.
Whew. So 200. Well, okay. I guess. Well, yeah, because I don't remember how the contract structures was. So was that the was 126 million on top of the 100 and the 100 million deal that he signed coming out of high school?
Now, so it was. Hold on, let me read a little more into it because
All
they
right.
didn't really go into like a lot of detail. So let me read into it, and I'll tell you.
It's cool. All right. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna introduce this next topic. And this one's about the spring football league. So the USFL started their season this past weekend, and next year, excuse me, the XFL is making their third run at it. And of course, it came out in 2001, lasted a year, and then it went under. Then they were I felt like they were having success in 2020, but COVID shut everything down there. And now it's going to come back in 2023. And then there was another league, the AF, as they called it. I think it was the Alliance of American Football. Go ahead.
Okay, so it was a 6 year, $126 million year, and then he got 1 year extension because his next deal was in 2004. So he got a 1 year extension. Doesn't say what he paid out for that 2003 year. But his initial signing was 126 million over 6 years.
Yeah, Patrick, was I on point? Was I on point? It's all right. No, that's not me trying to.
Dude, I don't know how you remember that crap, but
I know that. Look, I got no. Look, my bad. I don't toot my own horn. Sorry. Nope. Let's move on.
hey, do it. I ain't got a problem with it. You know, if I was right, I would.
No. So, the spring football leagues. Thanks for checking me on that, Patrick. the spring football leagues, the question I would have is, what is their model? And this is when I sent you the text, I was talking about the model of the leagues. So you're doing this in the spring. Is your goal as one of these leagues to take over as the dominant league in football, or are you kind of trying to sustain and give the football fans who just love football, can watch football all day, every day, an alternative? Because if it's the latter, then I think there is a pathway to success for these spring football leagues. You're going to be up all night trying to take over from the NFL if that's your goal. And I think when these other spring football leagues have started up before, that was their goal. You could tell by their marketing. You remember when the XFL came out? This is real football played by real men. You remember all that, using the wrestling analogy for it. And then they were gone after a year. Then you had
real men can't stay committed.
Yeah. And then you have these other leagues, same thing, they're gone. Like the AF, the Alliance of American Football, they didn't even make it out of their inaugural season. They shut down shop in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
They couldn't pay them. They couldn't pay the players. So I think that's the model, and this is the business aspect, Patrick. I think, and I would love to get your viewpoints on this, of course. I think when you're talking about having a league in the spring, I think what you can do as a viable alternative here is you can act as a minor league. Now, for the people who come out with the idea to have this league, I'm sure that is probably a tough sell for them, because I'm sure their goals are to Jonathan. So I'm sure he hate me. Remember, he hate me. Yes, get it. Had he hate me on the back of that jersey. Rod Smart, never forget it. But I feel like it could be a nice little crutch. So for an example, if you have a player, maybe he went undrafted, maybe he went in the 6th, 7th round, or maybe he just wants to go and get some work in. You could go to the USFL, you can go to the XFL, some of these other leagues, and get some playing time, get some more exposure, maybe open up some other avenues for yourself, just in case you get cut by one of these teams in training camp. I feel like that's the way that these spring leagues can sustain. But if they're coming out saying, we're going to take over from the NFL, it's not going to happen, man. Not with the NFL making, again, $16 to $17 billion annually. All these contracts, the TV contracts, the streaming deals. Amazon is in the game now. Apple is in discussions to take NFL Sunday Ticket right now.
Google, what's up? You need two hoes right here, bro.
Yeah, right. We got you.
I got you, man. No problem. No problem. Google, you want to get in the game? Google.
Yo, hit us up. Yes,
let's go.
Let's get it.
And now I'm advertising for somebody.
It's all right, man. We'll be there one day. But what are your thoughts about it, man? Am I off base for saying this?
No, I mean, as long as they're not trying to go after it. I mean, they're making a very good statement by coming spring. That and foremost, because like you said, this gives players an opportunity. Let's say they can get some extra work in, right? You need to brush up on some skills. You want to take these new techniques and you want to learn them. This gives you an opportunity to get on the field before you get out on the field. You know what I mean? And but you're right. As long as they don't have this mindset that they're going to take over the NFL, because the NFL has way too much of a loyal fan base, way too much. And the only thing that could even contend with the NFL would be college football. That's it. And even then, college football is still, I mean, you still have your diehard NFL fans. that are like, oh, I'm not watching college football. That is not the most important to me. I'm good with, and it's mostly the people up in north, right? Because you come down here and it's like, hey, who's your favorite team? Oh, mine's the Atlanta Falcons, and I get a little upset, but don't let my Georgia Bulldogs lose, because then there's furniture moving in my house. I mean, I'm like repainting the shutters. I'm painting them to a different color because I ain't having that crap, and then now I got to paint them black again because Georgia's fixing to play on Saturday, and I got to have my house ready. You know what I'm saying? So these past companies that came out, these that think that they're going to take over the NFL, you got to keep that out of your mindset. You are not coming in. You're not taking over the NFL. There's, like you said, $17 billion, and that was 2 years ago. They didn't even have really anything that what they made of as of last year, which was probably way over $17 billion. But if you have the mindset that you're coming in on spring, you're going to elevate players to play in that. You're going to get, not only are you going to get a fan base, you're going to get support from the NFL, because the NFL is like, why don't we send them down here? We'll even help pay that contract to get them played up, and help them. And we'll start doing that. So I think as long as they don't go with the idea of taking out the NFL, they can be successful.
Yeah, Patrick. So Jonathan's trying to he's trying to come at you now, Patrick. Look,
I tell you what, when your team steps up on the field, then we'll talk.
so but yeah, I do think with you just have to, whoever is in charge of these leagues, I feel like you just have to kind of have that in mind when you're coming out with the spring football, because you're already an alternative just by the simple fact you're playing in the spring.
Yep. And I don't take it out just because you're playing in the spring, just because of it. But if you're going to take up my time on a Saturday, you can forget it. You're not going to get my time on a Saturday. You're just not.
Look, you remember NFL Europe back in the day? Same thing. Mm-hmm. Same thing. The people would go over to Europe, play for those teams. London. I mean, let's see. You had the London Monarchs, the Barcelona Dragons. You had a team in Frankfurt, Germany, and then they would come over. As a matter of fact, Patrick, NFL Europe was going on when we was over there in England.
Yep.
And so that was a alternative for those players. The same thing. You could go, you could get some exposure, get some playing time, and then come on back to the NFL, get on with the roster. And if you get on with the NFL roster, that's 6 figures. You get in there, you can sign a quick little contract, you get onto the practice squad, that's 6 figures right there. And Jonathan, that's the thing. Maybe the third time's the charm for these spring leagues, but that's the thing. They have to have a better mindset here. If their mindset is to come in and take over for the NFL, okay. So Patrick or Jonathan, we'll have to see next year, because the XFL, they'll debut next year. So we'll see. The USFL, the jury's still out on them. They might pull it up after this year. I don't know.
Not many of them none of them actually has last past a year. So let's see if the USFL can even last past spring.
So real quick, before we move on to the NFL draft, Patrick, so here's the USFL's formula. Here's what they're doing with this. They have all 8 teams. There's 8 teams in the league. They are all in Birmingham to play their games. Like, all the games will be played in Birmingham. So what this does, of course, this cuts down on traveling fees, hotel costs, all that good stuff. So it will be interesting to see how long this sustains, if they can sustain this model for the foreseeable future. But I felt that was pretty interesting. Let's go ahead. Let's bring all these teams down to Birmingham. And of course, they have a team in Birmingham. But let's bring all 8 of these teams together in the Birmingham, and we'll play all the games there, cut down on the cost, and maybe you can start to get some more revenue, because the thing is, you're being shown on TV. You have Fox and NBC on the side. The first game was simulcast on Fox and NBC. USA and FS1 also showed games. So if you TV money is where it's at nowadays, as you know, like the TV, and if they can get a streaming service to get on there, that would be a wrap. But you would think with the TV contract, it could sustain a little bit because it's hand over fist with the TV contracts. But that's an interesting model. I thought that was pretty interesting there.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting to see how. Let me put it this way: it would be very interesting to see if they can stick to this model. You know what I mean? Because what does a little success mean to you? Does it mean we get a little bit of success? Do we go after the NFL? Hopefully not. What does it mean? I want to see what the little bit of success does for the company and how they are going to move in that direction. Because do you stay true to your roots, or do you try to outgrow yourself and move into positions that honestly you shouldn't probably be there yet? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting. I do like the model. I do like what they are, what they're starting out with, and let's see how it goes. I mean, I'm going to give it a trial, see what it's like, watch it, and see what's going on. I can't say this as long as they do stay to the model, because I can tell you, as soon as if you try to move into like college football, you done lost your whole Southeast region when it comes to football. You know what I mean? You are, and look at with Texas and Oklahoma moving to the SEC. Texas and Oklahoma both, they're already huge football fans. Now you're in the home of an SEC. You are just getting encompassed in all of that, and now you're getting. It's going to be more of a home for y'all. You know what I mean? So now you get all that trash talk from the SEC and competitiveness, and you just lost the whole SEC, the whole Southeastern Conference, and that's even counting the ACC. You're going to lose them too, because they are just as engroved into their college football as the SEC is. So don't go on Saturday. As simple as that. Don't go Saturday, because you lost millions of people at that point.
All right, Patrick. Well, hey man, we're gonna come back to that one because we'll definitely have to revisit this.
Sorry, I'm getting a little nervous, man. It's 2.5 minutes left in this game, and the Hawks Heat 101-104.
Okay, all right.
You're gonna see me making some very weird gestures and stuff for the last couple of minutes.
It's all good. So real quick, Patrick, before we head on out, we're going to talk a little bit more about the NFL draft, but I guess we could hit that next week. The draft is next Thursday, so we could hit that up a little bit next week, I guess, as far as the hype goes, because it seems like the NFL draft, and that there's normally a lot of hype behind the NFL draft, but just kind of sliding under the radar, and then all of a sudden, oh gosh, here comes the draft. So we'll hit that a little bit more next week. Jonathan, to your comment, yeah, there could be some people who are fatigued from football. Absolutely. I mean, you watch the NFL in college, and you're really, really invested into that, and that's something that we had talked about. That's something we had talked about a little bit ago, Patrick. Before we move on to this last topic. The NFL, I think they could border on the edge of watering down their product. You remember we had talked about that a good amount of times, putting it on Sunday nights, Thursday nights, Monday nights, and then you're trying to move it to other countries, potentially having a team in London. So that whole thing, you're right, the spring ball for college. Yep. And so it's just one of those things that you have to be careful not to water down the product. Now, obviously, NFL, we talked about the money figures, but yeah, I remember having that conversation. They be careful. Don't water down the product.
And you also have to watch out. I mean, like, you're gonna run into fans like me. Like, once the Super Bowl's over, I'm getting excited because now it's baseball, and baseball is my sport. That's the one I love the most, and it's hard for me to want to gear away from that because when I watch it, dude, I can guarantee you this time of the season there is one of three sports on my TV: MLB, college baseball, college softball. Those are always on my TV, and you can't get. And I have two TVs sitting right here in my office area, and I'll have game there, softball game there, and I'm doing my work. But this is my time of the season. I love this part of the season. And when the Little League World Series comes on, there's my next one.
Well, man, speaking of baseball, so last topic here. So you remember last week, Clayton Kershaw, first pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, he got pulled. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
God.
Jonathan's right about the softball. Yeah, Oklahoma has been pretty good in softball. I hate to admit it, but they have.
Oklahoma is good. You know who else is good?
Yeah,
Alabama.
that's true. But with
They
Clayton
are good.
Kershaw, he got pulled, and he had a perfect game going. Pitched 7 innings, had a perfect game going against the Minnesota Twins. Everybody lit up. Everybody was upset because he got pulled by Dave Roberts, and and so everybody was just hot, upset, and the whole debate: do you leave them in? Should you have left them in? Do you pull them? What do you do? All right, where you at on this, Patrick?
Oh, you know exactly where I'm at.
So you're saying they should have left them in?
Hell yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now, if I'm pitching a perfect game, you ain't coming out to that mound. You better stay your butt in the freaking dugout. That's period, point blank. You're not pulling me. We'll fight. Perfect. If we're pitching a shutout on top of that, and it was a perfect. Was it a perfect game?
It was a perfect game.
Oh, no, absolutely not. You are not pulling me out. I will beat the crap out of you and then carry you back to the dugout and then come back out here and finish my game. Now, once I give up a hit,
he had 13 strikeouts too.
No. You do not pull a man when he is pitching a perfect game. You do not do that. When I saw that, I turned the channel. I was mad. I couldn't watch the rest of the game.
So all right, Patrick. So you know what? Hey, normally, when I first saw this happen, I had the same reaction you did. Absolutely, I did. I was thinking, why the hell would you pull him when he had a perfect game? So I mean, here was, man, he had 80 pitches, 80 pitches, 13 strikeouts. The dude was dealing in this game. Yeah. When I saw it, I kind of had the same reaction. After thinking about it for a little bit, I can understand both sides of the equation.
You're not thinking about that.
So here's the thing: if Clayton Kershaw was cool with it, then all right. And during the interviews, he said so. He said that he was fine. Now we don't know if it's just kind of trying to keep harmony.
That's exactly what it was.
Dugout. No. But he's coming off of an elbow injury. He had surgery. Or not. Maybe he did have surgery. Or I know he got shut down for the year last year. And
he got surgery for that.
Okay, yeah. So he had surgery. He threw 80 pitches. It appeared that he was on a pitch count, and it was in Minnesota. It was 30-some degrees at the time. So I can understand if all that was discussed, with all that being considered, I can understand Dave Roberts pulling them. Now, you're going to like this one too. I actually give Dave Roberts credit for leaving them in for 7 innings. Normally he would have pulled them after 2.
I was surprised after he pitched the first pitch, because the first pitch in the game was a ball. I was surprised he didn't pull him then.
So the traditionalist in me, yes, I would have loved to see Clayton Kershaw stay in there and pitch the perfect game. But if he was on a pitch count. From reports I had heard, Dave Roberts went to him after the 6th inning, said, "How are you feeling? Are you feeling all right? Can you go back out here for the next inning?" He went out for the next inning. The catcher had said it appeared he was starting to tire out a little bit. I can understand it. I know in the analytical world that we have nowadays, and I'm not with that world. I would love the days of seeing the starting pitcher stay in as long as they can, and then get their 4 or 5 days rest and come back out there. 7 innings, and that's definitely a good quality start. I'm with you in that regard, Patrick. I can understand where you're like, no, we need to go ahead and say that. Yes, he was on a pitch count.
He was on a pitch count. He was actually on a 90 pitch count is what he was on.
So yeah, but I can see it both ways. For the traditionalists, absolutely stay in there and get it done.
Okay.
If he was on that pitch count, then yeah, I understand. So Patrick, I'll give you the last ball, and then we got to get out.
Okay, this won't take me long. Okay, so he was on a pitch count. Yes, he was on a 90 pitch. He was on a 90 pitch count. And I would say that since he did have his discussions, that he was like, when I hit my limit, yes, pull me out. There has to be a certain point, and this is just me. I'm not going to say that I'm going to speak for Kershaw at all, but I can tell you, if I'm on a 90 pitch count and I'm at 80 and I'm at the 7th inning and I am pitching a perfect game, pitch count's out the window. That's just me. Pitch count's out the window. I'm looking at you going, no, it's out the window. The deals are off. I'm pitching. That's it. I don't care what my elbow says. I'm pitching. Now, if I throw my arm out, that's my call. If I dislocate my elbow, that's my call. But if I am pitching a perfect game, my call, you are not coming to pull me out. If Kershaw was okay with it, then I'm okay with it. Because it is his call. I mean, ultimately, Clayton has got to say, I'm done. And if he says I'm done, cool. I can just tell you from my point of view, all bets are out the window. If I'm pitching perfect game, I don't give a crap. I'm finishing it until I give up a hit. Then you need to pull me out.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up and leave it there. So, hey, for everybody who viewed this, thanks for coming on. That will conclude this Breath of Fresh Air webcast for this week. Y'all make sure y'all visit the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel. Smash that subscribe button. And keep the likes coming. The Hawks are in trouble. And keep the likes coming on the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page. Everybody have a good rest of the week. Jonathan, thanks for coming on. So if you're gonna put Boomer on there, what you need to follow that up with is the throw up emoji. Holla at y'all. Y'all take it easy, and we'll see y'all next week. Take care.